I'm Cindy Cloward with Riley Blake Designs, and today I'm going to walk you through how to make a soft book out of a fabric panel. It's never too early to start reading to those little ones, and a soft book is a really good option because they can't tear the pages and the books are usually simplified, so they're a quick read. Let me move these over and show you how easy it is to make. What's nice about panels is that they come on the bolt like this. You lay out your panel, and there's a dotted line, that's your cut line. And I like to use a small rotary cutter, and then you can use a couple rulers. I use a smaller and a larger one. Smaller for this side, larger for the long sides, and I rotary cut. And now I'm going to cut out each piece. So I've cut out all my pieces, and I've used a ruler and a rotary cutter because it's important to get the straight lines. And if you use scissors, sometimes when the fabric is printed, it's stretchable and you might not get straight lines. So use a ruler, rotary cutter for better cutting out of your pieces. So one thing to note is that the instructions are printed on the panel. Like most panels, that's what's nice about them. You get the pattern with the panel, and you'll need those so you can lay this down and follow your instructions like you do for most of your projects. You can lay it right there. It does mention in the instructions that you need 1 yard medium weight interfacing or thin batting. And I kind of do a combination of both, and I'll show you what I mean by that. Once you've laid your pieces out together, you're going to put your pages together the way it instructs you to. So for this one, there's an outside, 1 and 12 is partnered up with 2 and 11. Now what I do when I'm putting together my book covers, I really like to use batting because it's nice and soft, and I always tend to have extra because when I take my quilts in to be long arm quilted, they give you the extra batting on the side, so I always have a lot of extra batting. So I'm doing batting for all 3 pages, which is 6 pages total because you're doing front and back. But I also, on the outside page, and I'm going to show you this book right here, I add interfacing too. So the outside page is a little stiffer than the inside pages. So I get a little bit of interfacing that will fit the outside page. And it only has to be, I have the glue on one side, and you can feel the bumpy side. That's where the glue is. I make sure it lines up perfectly. And the glue is activated by heat. So you're going to press your interfacing onto the back side of your outside page. And it's not a quick iron. You're pressing, going a little bit at a time, and it activates that glue by heat, and it gives a little more structure to the outside of your book. Okay, you can see it's slightly bigger. I can trim that up in a minute. A lot of the book panels that we put out, we do have the number of the pages on there, and it's referenced in the pattern, but once you put your sides together and you sew, you're not going to see that anymore. So you're going to need to make note of the pattern pages. So you're going to put that batting on. Like I said, I use interfacing and batting on the outside when I'm making these soft books. And then right sides together, you're going to line up. You can do this method of finding the center, but sometimes you can see the center line is in the art. But you can just check, make sure that's the center. And then you're going to line up center to center, right sides together. And then I'm going to pin so it doesn't shift when I'm sewing. And I'm going to kind of pull. Batting can be stretched a little bit. Make sure there's plenty of batting around the edges. I'm going to pin my corners. And just give that a little tug. Now that's going to be ready to the machine and sew. So I'm going to take this to the machine and sew and leave an opening to flip it right side out. So I'm going to take it to sew 3/8 of an inch, pivot, corner, pivot, all the way across, pivot, pivot, and end, and leave about a 2.5, 3-inch opening to turn right side out. Now the other ones I do just like I mentioned before, but since I need to make sure to note the page numbers, I'm going to pin these off with a safety pin so it's really easy when I turn inside out. Okay, so I know this is 8 and 5, so I just kind of make a note of that, the page number, 8 and 5. You may have a better way to do this. This is how I do it. And I note this is 6 and 7. This is the page number. I don't use a regular pin because it's hard to turn inside out if you use a straight pin. And I just follow up, and it says 8 and 5 and 6 and 7 go together. So one of these is the back side. You only need one piece of batting between the pages, but you have to do right sides together. Again, you can kind of find the center. Finger press, finger press. Okay, now that those are all pinned, I'm going to take them to the machine and sew 3/8 of an inch, leaving it open at the bottom. Okay, I've got them all sewn. Now it's the time to trim up before you turn right side out. You can either do scissors, I do a rotary cutter to go clip off your edges. Make sure you do not clip into your threads. Okay, take a look. Now if you have extra bulk, this one has a little extra bulk on the side, I kind of trim it down. I get that. All right. I can see I have extra bulk over here. Trim off that side. Okay, let's turn them right side out. I kind of go in and grab a corner and pull out. Okay, I'm just popping out my corners using this turning tool, being careful not to poke through the fabric. I did want to mention I did use a 1/4 inch seam allowance around the entire edge, and I think that was perfect. It worked out just right. So on each of these, I give it a good press. I'm rolling in the hole where I turned right side out, right there. Now the instructions say you can whip stitch this closed and then you can assemble the book together. I like to do a top stitch to close my opening. I think it gives it a nice finish and it helps in the washing if you ever wash this out, and gives it extra strength on the corners of your book. So I'm going to take all of these and top stitch around. Okay, just finished sewing around all my pages. Just clip out any threads that you have. This is the outside of the book. We're going to put that down. Now you can read the instructions of how to assemble your book according to the page numbers. This goes down 10 and 3, place it down there. You're going to line up the center just like that, and then 8 and 5 face down. I'm going to take this off now. There's a couple of little extra threads right here. Okay, now I'm going to line up my layers so they're all centered. Right there. And take that back. Yeah, that's all centered. Pin it across. Once that's lined up, I'm going to take my notes, make sure they're all out. More. I'm going to take it to the machine, sew in the center, back stitching on both sides. Okay, just finished sewing the top and bottom, sewing from the top and bottom. Little extra threads. Fold your book together. Make sure it all looks good. Flipping through all your pages. Sometimes when I give these away, I like to sign my name on maybe one of the pages if it's for someone special. But as you can see, making a soft book isn't hard.